What's going on, lovely people? Welcome back to season 2 of the After You podcast. I'm sat down with a very special guest, someone that actually was supposed to be on season 1, but timing is everything, and now we're here, so get an opportunity to sit down. Please introduce yourself to the people.
Thank you, Theo. Appreciate it, man. My name's Aidan, and I run FitRoots, which is our martial arts school and our online personal training program, which helps people to master their lives with martial arts in mind, body, and spirit.
Awesome, bro. Awesome. Man, honestly, it's so good to have you on here. Honestly, I mean, it's about 2 years ago that we were supposed to sit down and have a chat on. Long story short, on season 1, episode 5, if anyone doesn't know, was supposed to be FitRoots episode. However, we had some technical problems, and it kind of
I just met today,
as we always do. And unfortunately, I had to scrap the episode. But I've been waiting for the moment where we get a chance to sit down again. And
2 years has flown by, man. Now we're here.
Crazy, isn't it? 2 years have flown by. Like, you're a father now.
Yeah.
FitRoots has gone from 0 to 100 if you look at it from then to now. Yeah. But I know, and I've been able to see some of the integral changes you've made along the way. So, yeah, man, I want to kind of jump straight into it.
Let's do it, man. Sounds good.
Let's start off with, first of all, introducing yourself to the people about what you do and your coaching in general.
Definitely, man. So I think it alludes to also we used to talk about how you used to coach football as well.
That's right.
The way I like to look at martial arts is that it's a full physical, a full mental, and a full spiritual endeavor and transformation. So when you look at your craft and your practice like that, inevitably the way you teach people and the way people pick things up is going to be different as well. So
yeah, absolutely,
we want people to develop and obviously learn how to kick and punch, but that's not enough. Like, people, unless you're going to be a professional fighter, you don't just need that. You need also to know, how can I apply that to my day-to-day life? Absolutely. So how can I learn the discipline that it takes to learn a martial art and use that when I'm not feeling motivated, I'm feeling like procrastinating or not being disciplined. That's the crossover.
Okay. Yeah, well, so that was something that we definitely talked about last time, and I think me coming back, this was something we were supposed to discuss in the last episode, but I grew up studying karate, and we talked a little bit about how in the karate system, particularly Goju-Kai, I can't really speak on others, it is a little bit of a fast track method, and they try to kind of force feed the information into you, or speed track your way through belts and grading systems and things like that. And I definitely think some of the principles and the discipline I learned was really important, but I do really appreciate your method and your style of approach in terms of in terms of being patient, taking your time, and being able to actually teach them the things in their mind that is going to help actually help them physically.
Yeah, exactly. Because I haven't actually, for the record, done karate properly, but of course my main style is kickboxing. Cool. That's a direct descendant of karate and all the different styles. So, absolutely. But I think, as you say, unfortunately, the way karate has been molded, especially in more recent times, it's been watered down, and it's about the belts and so on, and not much else. So but when you go back to the original teachings, whether it's karate, it's this and all that, they all had an element of mental, maybe not as explicit as I'm trying to make it, but at least they had an element of, this is going to make you a better person, this is going to help you in your life, not just the punching, the kicking, and so on. Because the punching and kicking side only goes so far in terms of your ego. But once you've overcome that level of, I need to show everyone how tough I am, then you don't care about that stuff. You think, well, what's next?
Yeah, that's so true. Especially like in today's society as well now, I'd say that it's probably even more difficult to get people out of their homes to do physical things. I mean, I see it when we're even at the gym and people are outdoorsy, if you will. It's harder to do that now because we've got all of these modern conveniences and technology and things like that, cameras everywhere. Definitely. So I definitely really appreciate that style and that approach of just the patience. So let's jump straight into, take it a little bit back for the people. Now, how did you originally get into kickboxing? Was there an inspiration from family or such forth?
Yeah, definitely. So I got into it when I was about 30 now. So when I was, must be the same age, right? Yeah.
30 crew. We're here.
3-0, man. Wow.
We're doing good, man. We look good for 30. We're
doing alright.
We're good.
So I started when I was about 5. So
Cool.
there was some small breaks in between, but call it 25 years. I've been doing martial arts and a few different styles as well. But my late father, he was my first teacher, so he ran.
To Dave Lee, man.
Thank you, man. Thank
Rest
you.
in peace.
Thank you. And so he ran Warlords Kickboxing Academy. So that's where I started. He started that in the 80s,
Awesome.
Early 80s, and then so I was early 90s kid myself. So I was raised there, and even though I probably trained there predominantly until I was about 14, 15, then I started exploring other styles like Muay Thai, boxing, bits of MMA, BJJ, Wing Chun, and so on. So really blending the things together. But then when I went to uni and studied philosophy, that's when I came out and actually blended the two more explicitly together. So the mind, the body, the martial arts, the philosophy. So that's how they all actually came together. Because that was the moment for me. I was like, hold on, this stuff I'm learning about Plato, Aristotle, whoever, from all the way from ancient Greece up to now, is not just relevant for then, it actually has implications to now. That's it. And to martial arts as well, because they also, the martial arts tradition, although not the ancient Greek Western side, it has the Eastern philosophical tradition. Hence why someone like Bruce Lee was able to merge and mend things together in such a way that just hit people, one in their mind but also in their hearts as well. And that's going on, touching on Bruce Lee as well. It's like, why was someone like that such a figure compared to all of the championship fighters you have today, and other people like Muhammad Ali and whoever else, because they touched on something which was higher than them fighting and themselves.
Absolutely, no, it's something. It's like they've tapped into something almost that's like transcended their physical self, and now they're utilizing a body and a community of people to uplift. Like you just mentioned, Muhammad Ali, Bruce Lee. These guys, they have a philosophy of fighting, not just a style of fighting. I think a lot of people have a style of fighting. You can identify how they fight, but you can't identify what they fight for.
Exactly.
And that's very unique. And I think even you can see little sprinkles of it, I think, in mixed martial arts, where you see some of the audiences and the followings of some of these fighters. But I think that's more to do with who they are and where they come from.
Definitely.
As opposed to like, this is what I stand for, this is what I fight for. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it as well, because I think that's the problem when you turn it into prize fighting as well. Because when I wanted to be a professional fighter, it's the same mentality. Is you turn a martial art or anything into prize fighting, inevitably it becomes about the money, about the fame, about the ego, and so on. So of course, competition. Not to say competition is bad; it's great. We should compete. We should prove ourselves to ourselves.
Keep pushing ourselves.
That's it, but not for others.
Absolutely. No, I agree with that. So, fast forwarding from university, where did the idea come around for FitRoots to be, as an idea, as a concept, and then you thought, you know what, this is something I want to do? Was it called FitRoots originally, or did you kind of come into that? No,
that's a great question. I actually had to create it, but before that, the creation process was, I guess, quite destructive, because I think I told you before, I was after uni, my plan was to turn professional in kickboxing.
That's right. You did tell me that.
So it just didn't work out, and there's 3 main reasons. There's no money in kickboxing until you get to the top, and even then it's not great. And again, not that it's about the money, but you need to
survive. You need to live.
And then secondly, because I've been sparring hard since I was a kid, the brain damage was just accumulating, so I didn't think it was worth. There was a point and I reached it. It just wasn't worth it. And then third, I was like, I started falling out of love with it, because I was making myself conform to this style of training and just training to fight, not for training for life, which is obviously more important than just to training to fight.
Absolutely.
But because I told myself this is what I was doing or will do when I grow older and once I finish uni and so on, it was very hard to let go of that. So if you hang on to something, even though you know it's not right for you, and internally there's a little voice saying maybe you need to look outside of this and think differently, but it takes time. When you're so deeply entrenched in something, you need to go through that hard process to then come out the other side.
Absolutely. So, I agree.
So I guess on that point, it took me right to the bottom, where I was feeling like super anxious, depressed and everything, and then eventually when I let it go, then that's where I was able to have the space to create something like FitRoots. But until I got, for me, it doesn't have to happen to everyone, but to me, until I got to that space where I was, you know, I was ill and I was meant to be healthy, I was, you know, super tired, I was anxious, I was stressed, I was depressed, and all these, you know, negative things. I had to get there to let it go. But the process that got me there was a couple of things. First, it was myself, and then also some, I don't know what you call them, but some like spiritual experiences which helped me to see that. If you want to go into it, we can. But and then also just learning to be present and understand what is it that I truly want, and what am I going to do for the rest of my life. So going back to starting FitRoots, then after I finally said no to fighting, I started to just think, get a normal job, and then that killed me even worse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know, bro. I've been there myself, man. Like, there's when you're looking for ways to create, or you're creating a path for things, it's like, hey, man, like doing things normally now. Or I don't even say normal, because there's lots of people who still do it, and that's what they consider to be their excitement or their fun. But everyone's unique, and I think once you found something, or you tapped into something that works for you, and you found that kind of a purpose to it, it's very difficult to go back to doing anything considered to be normal.
100%. And you know, for anyone who's listening as well, sometimes things are staring you in the face. Like, I'd done martial arts my whole life, and now I still have a career and a purpose around martial arts, but I didn't think that's what I was going to do, because now when I faced the reality of giving up fighting, I thought, what the hell do I do now? So I didn't think it would be martial arts still, in a different way. So sometimes, even when things are facing you directly, like, hey, I'm here, you still don't realise you know what to do. So
that's great. That's it's really unique there, because it's kind of sometimes you need somebody else's perspective, or just to be able to take a step back and look at it from a different way.
100%.
You know what I mean? So that's really good though. So once the idea for FitRoots came around, and you was like, okay, this is something I really want to do, what were the next steps from there? How did you kind of initialize it, get it off the ground, and launch it, should I say?
Nice. No, that's a good way of looking at it, because what I did was the wrong way of doing it. Like, I should have just, because basically I had a job. I was doing project management. That was not my last proper job, but I got fired from that because
as you do. When you're passionate about what you love.
It just didn't work out for me, and it wasn't good for them, good for me. So, you know, that was the right thing for them to do.
That's
and then I went and worked somewhere else in another fitness place for a bit, but because it wasn't, you know, my direction and passion, it was just standardized fitness, which tends to I think damage people more. I kind of again just fell out of that, but then afterwards I went actually more into personal training to start with, and then so I did that for a few years, and then transitioned back to my roots of more martial arts. So cool. In terms of how that started, I mean, it's a process, isn't it? I think the thing is, right, is if you look at business, unless you have a background in it, it's also a whole learning journey in itself.
Absolutely.
So I don't know if you've read or heard of this book. It's called E-Myth by Michael Gerber, but he talks about how when you start a business, technically you end up being the technician. So what that means is, like, you're a photographer, videographer, so that's your craft. I'm a martial artist, so that's my craft. But I don't know the skills of business until I've acquired them. But most of us end up staying and remaining as technicians rather than learning to be orchestrators of the business. So that was my downfall. I had to learn from scratch, because even though my dad ran a martial arts school and things like that, it was old school. So
it's old school, different. Back in those days, so our parents' generation is like all of these things and putting things in place and dotting I's and crossing T's was a little bit different. It
was, and of course he taught me a lot, but in a different way. And times change, and you have to learn business from scratch. So the business journey was the longest for me, and it's still like martial arts is a never-ending journey.
That's right, it's always learning.
That's it. So learning in that way has served me now, but I've still got a long way to go. And I think in the creation of something, you have to just, I think if I could go back and start again, I would do a lot more like what you're doing now. Like, I do a lot more free stuff, I do a lot more just like community building, just relationship building, just doing things which will help you to learn because once you've learned and you have the skills, then you can apply it. But if you don't have the skills and you're trying to apply something you don't know or have, then it's hard.
Absolutely. I mean, that makes me think of, and I think this is something, a great bit of advice for the people, which is sometimes you have to speculate to accumulate. It's something I say a lot, and you tend to find businesses struggle with this because they've got a format, and once they have a format, they kind of, it's easier for them to exist, if you will. However, when you're an individual and you're building like yourself, you're working for martial arts, myself, which is photography, videography, you are the resource. So what ends up happening sometimes is that people end up capitalizing off of your skill set because you don't know how to sell yourself.
Exactly.
So I've seen so many amazing creatives and artists who, can paint a wonderful masterpiece and put it up in your house, but they don't know how to market themselves, they don't know how to promote, tell a story about what they're doing and encapsulate that so people would buy it. And I think so many people, artists, creatives, kind of go missing and fall away over time because they either give up, they lose patience, they don't have a solid plan, or they don't have people around them who are able to push them in the right direction. So like, leading on to yourself, how have you been able to work on the things outside of you being a martial artist to help FitRoots grow? Because you're obviously doing really well and you can see the platforms growing nicely.
No, thank you. That's a good point as well, because I found as well, because I think these creative fields of martial arts are pretty much the same but different. Obviously they're
connected.
Yeah, they're connected because it's still a creative pursuit. Absolutely. Whichever way you look at it. And so to answer your question, we've hired like videographers, even had an illustrator at one point, all sorts of stuff. But I made a lot of mistakes along these processes, and who we should hire and what we should do. But I think ultimately, if you can, at the start you have to do things for yourself. You have to do everything. You have to be, unfortunately, the jack of all trades, master of none, because unless you've got big cash and a wallet behind you, then you can't just hire out.
Exactly.
And even if you did, it's probably a little bit wiser to see how you can bootstrap it first, rather than just trying to spend the dough and figure out how to make it back. So I think a couple of things I tried a lot at the start to try and hire out, but I think one thing I learned is to, when you delegate, the saying goes like delegate, not abdicate, because you can't delegate without knowing what to do yourself and how the process works. So for example, if I wanted to delegate some of our social media stuff, I should at least understand how it works, how long it takes to create a post, how long it takes to do this, how to design it, make sure it's in format and so on. And then I can really truly pass that responsibility over to someone else. But until I do, I can't say that, because then I'm just thinking out of nowhere, how long is this going to take, how much it's going to cost, and so on. So
it's like a hands-off approach. It's just like, why is it not done yet? Sort of thing. It's just like, hurry up. And you're like, if you don't know what it is, if you haven't actually gone through it, you can't really speak on it.
And I've been guilty of that 100%, because I think it's just you pay for something you expect it to be done, and that's as simple as it gets. But it's a lazy attitude. That's a short-term strategy, not a long-term one as well.
Very true. Very true. Okay, so one thing that I've noticed is from FitRoots itself is you pay close attention. I know we briefly spoke about this in the introduction, but about mindset development, and I've seen you mention that quite a few times in posts and things like that when you've done conversations, or even when you're teaching some of your students. And I think that's very, very important, mindset development, and I think it's something that is it's hard to monetize, because you're essentially, it's feelings, it's emotions, it's history, experiences, all sorts of things tied into one. So like, how important is mindset development in your training methods for FitRoots? Because that's something I see a lot.
Great question. I think it's the most important thing, and it lays the foundation to then learn the rest better. But I'll give you an example. If someone comes in and they just want to learn how to fight, then this kind of training that I can offer, or that we do, is probably not that suitable for them, because they're in a different space. They're in a different position. Just like someone who wants to come in and just wants to try the next diet and just wants to lose loads of weight, they're also in the wrong mental space. Of course, it's my responsibility to then help them see why this mindset training, the philosophy, is more important than the actual tactic itself. Because when you're thinking short term, you're thinking tactics. When you're thinking long term, you're thinking identity, your character, and then eventually, planning your personality. Then you come down and say, oh, okay, now I can plan my goals. Now I can figure out the structure of how to get there.
Yeah.
But if you don't know who you are, then how can you plan anything effectively?
Yeah.
And that goes for myself too. Like, you have to learn about, what are my vices, my limitations, my shortcomings. But then on the flip side, positively, what are my good things? What do I excel at? What do I need to spend more time in, and where do I need to hone in on so that message can resonate with more people, almost with less effort, because that's your zone of genius, if you like.
Yeah, very true.
So going back to like this part of the training itself is like, if we can get people to understand that they need to understand themselves, or as they said in Socrates said, to know thyself. If you can know thyself, then you can know things around you. But a lot of us are trying to understand our external world before we know our internal world. And what a mistake that is, because
it's dangerous.
How can I know more about you or something else until I bother to learn about myself? So
that's very, very insightful, especially for the young people listening, because I think a lot of young people there are so many distractions now. It's not like when we was growing up. Like I think back to our days when we could go out and play manhunt. You know what I mean? Running around the area, like playing with friends, and just the community aspect was different. Knocking on people's doors to see if they were in. Like, oh, can like Jeffrey come out and play? Like someone come out and play, and that it doesn't really exist as much now. So I think what you've got a lot more serious children growing up, because they're seeing, hey, life is much more serious now because you've got access to those things. So moving on from the whole mindset, and that's a great point obviously for the youngsters, tapping into pay attention to your internal self before you try and go out into the world and sell anything, because then you kind of have a little bit of a base, and you're going to attract the right type of energy. You're going to find people who tend to think like-mindedly, and then they're going to kind of support that. I do want to ask you about certain transferable skills, because that's something I find very important, transitioning from football into the creative digital world. Is that there are certain skills that have really helped me transition into this field, and like things like the confidence, communication, speaking with people. I see them as normal, but when I walk around and I communicate with people, I realise that it's actually not as normal as I thought it was.
Not everyone has that.
Exactly. So what would you say are some transferable skills that you've learned from martial arts or fighting that you've taken into current life today?
No, definitely. I think you made a good point about the football ones as well, because football in that sense is a bit more social than, I don't say more social than martial arts, but in the game it's more social. Outside of that, social is social, but the game itself is more social. Martial arts is not a team sport, but I can't get better at martial arts by myself. I do need a roster of teammates who we collectively together build ourselves up in body, mind and spirit. So I guess what's unique to me about martial arts as well is I used to play football, not at your level of course, but and other sports and so on, and took them fairly seriously, just like I did martial arts. But I feel that martial arts is the only discipline which truly embodies physical, mental and spiritual development in one, if it's done properly. For example, if I'm only academic and I study philosophy, of course I may have my mental and potentially my spiritual together, but where's the physical? And if I just did modern day martial arts, it would just be physical, maybe some mental crossover, but not much spiritual and full-on mental. So I think the real crossovers are when you perfectly align those three elements, and you also bring out the best in those three. So what does martial arts really teach? Well, lots of things. So to center yourself, to be present, to control your breath, to control your mind, to be disciplined, to do the boring work as well. It's not boring, but to learn that repetition is like the mother of all skill.
Absolutely.
You want to throw a good jab, good roundhouse, you better be able to throw it 10,000 times. Or as Bruce Lee said, he fears the man who throws one kick 10,000 times rather than 10,000 kicks once. So it's much more important that we focus on those things. And yes, there's more, but the biggest thing even kids, adults come to us for is, as you said about in football as well, is confidence. Adults might not say it like some do. Adults might not say it so explicitly, but parents always say it for their children. I want them to be more confident and to learn how to defend themselves. And adults are the same, they just may say it in like a different way, like I want more energy. And what's energy? It's like confidence, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's harder to probably say that I want confidence as an adult now, as opposed to saying my kid needs to be a little bit more confident.
When we're talking about someone else, we can say it almost.
Exactly. It's about them, it's not me. It's like, I'm fine.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I mean, so you'd say, transferring, so you'd say, what would be the one or two key takeaway skills that you think have helped? Let's say you are a young martial artist today and you're like, you're maybe coming out of the sport, you're not sure if you're going to do it long term. What would you say a couple of skills that you've learned that are just vital in any other aspects of life?
Definitely two main things. So first one is hard work, because you're never going to be a good martial artist if you don't know how to work hard.
True.
It takes hard work, and you have to keep going, and this links to number two, is to not give up as well. So whether you're starting a business like yourself, or in business or whatever, like I'm trying to build or whatever, is I've got to keep working hard, and I can't give up.
Absolutely.
And these days, because you're promised by so many people, you can make a quick buck here doing this, you can do that, and as you said about the distractions, there's so many distractions. But if you can just say, right, I'm gonna stay on this path until I figure it out. It might not be the easiest path. It will go up and down, but I'm still on the path.
Absolutely.
But too many people stop, especially nowadays. People haven't developed the physical and mental fortitude to not give up. So they, as soon as the first sign of a problem comes up, oh, that didn't work for me. And what they really mean is I didn't put enough effort or ask the right questions to the right people, or even to yourself, to figure out how to make it work.
Yes. And 100%.
That's really two things. Just hard work, don't give up. And if you can do those two things, it might be 2 years, it might be 20 years, but as long as you love it, it's your passion.
Yes, exactly. And that's something I've been trying to explain to any youngsters that I work with and deal with now, whether it's from football, whether it's their interest in creativity. We do have this unfortunate thing in society today where everything's so quick. It's just like, oh, it didn't work for you, boom, on to the next one, on to the next one. The problem is we accumulate all of these things that are useless at the end of the day, and you're sitting there and then you start discarding all of it and you're like, hold on, wait, actually I don't have anything, because you didn't stick at actually one thing to build up enough to know of it. So that's fantastic. To think hard work and the willingness to never give up, because armed with those two things, ultimately you could be less skillful, more skillful than your competitors or people around you, but if you have those two things at your foundation, you're most likely going to outlast them. You're gonna learn, okay, that's what doesn't work, let me improve that for the next time. And I think that is something that we miss out a lot on.
100%. You're right, there's so many distractions, problems nowadays, external things, of course, that we tend to not be able to control, but we internalize, because obviously our environment impacts us, but it's up to us how it impacts us. We choose, we make that choice. So try not to make the choice which will take you down the route of not working hard and giving up and stopping prematurely before you've really seen the fruits of your work.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so let's segue a little bit over as we get towards the conclusion of our conversation. Let's talk quickly about FitRoots itself today. What the current goals, what your targets are, or even just kind of what's interesting or new and what you're working on.
No, good stuff, thank you. At the moment, focus on building, in the martial arts school, focus on building the team. So we have a leadership and instructor training program, which is for students to take them, not necessarily just to be able to teach, but the key word is, the first one is to help them to be modern day leaders and the modern day warriors of today, not just of the past, or the ones that don't unfortunately come up because they've never had the chance to do that. So we're trying to really build that up, and obviously the school itself and our team, so we've got a few new instructors at the moment who are helping us and delivering their piece, but we can only do so much if we try and do everything. So we need to help that generation and also those people in the team really build themselves up. So that's what we're focusing on, building leaders now, so who tomorrow can do more than I could as well. Because if I'm teaching and my mind is here and there and I'm doing this and that, I should still teach sometimes, but not all the time. So
evolution.
Yeah, exactly. There's that, and then our main other thing online is building our online martial arts personal training based programs and influence. So we're primarily helping men who are busy, potentially dads, time poor, to build their power, their purpose, and their posture as well. So we were really trying to, make an effort to be as purpose-based as possible, because I think, as you said, with the distractions as well these days, it's very easy to be oriented wholly around money and this and that, and as if money is a measure of your impact entirely. Of course, it can be one metric, but not the only metric.
Yes, that's the problem. It's become the metric for so many people, as opposed to a metric.
That's it, and it's an important one, but there are other ones as well. So, for example, in your line of work, if you can create videos that get a lot, not just views for the sake of views, but views which then lead to impact and people listening to that message, that's amazing.
Yes,
and that's what we all need. So that's really the two main things we're focusing on at the moment. There are more later. We're still working on getting our own dojo and things like that, but I have to be patient. These things take time.
Of course.
So with a lot of the lockdowns,
and that'll be a great moment when it does, I'm sure. That's the beautiful thing. It's like you don't necessarily have to rush things like that, because in martial arts there is an element of patience, and I think the environment is important too. The location, does it feel right? Is the right space? And everything comes into play. So I'm sure that will come for you very soon.
Thank you, man. And you're right. We had a few opportunities, but they just didn't intuitively feel right, or the setup wasn't 100% perfect, and you tend to compromise just because of other factors, which, again, like we were talking about earlier, maybe you wouldn't if you had your ideal situation. So as you say, patience is always worth it.
Patience is the key, and like you said, you arm yourself with patience, willingness to work hard, and then willingness to not give up. That's a dangerous combination, if in a positive way, because what essentially you're saying is that I'm patient enough to see out the hard times. I'm also hardworking enough to put in enough effort so that I can reap some rewards. And then if I do stumble across some difficult times, I've got the discipline to see it through and just to keep fighting into the future. So that's a great mantra of messages.
And if you can carry on, then it doesn't matter, and especially when it's low, times are not good, times are low. If you can carry on, that's great, because then you can also ride the highways, but not to get too comfortable and let your ego take over too much, because there's probably going to be more hard times to come. Because if you look at all people, whether it's successful people in business, whatever other realms, there are always highs and lows. And everyone who just thinks that there's this social media lifestyle of just like this, things only go up, that's not true. And if you believe that, they're also telling you a lie as well. So on that note, I'm also trying to work less but do more within that time. So I'm the first person to say I'm not the most efficient when it comes to work and the most productive. So I'm really trying to work on how can I get more done in less time, and how can I get more impact with not less effort, but without trying to say I worked 12 hours today, but really did I? No, I didn't. I just did a bit of this,
because it sounds good on paper.
But it's not efficient.
No, it's not efficient, and it's not really enjoyable, if we're being completely honest either. I think if you could, we have this assumption that amount of hours worked equals result or income increase. So it's almost like just put in the amount of hours, and just you're doing at least 60-70 hours a week, and you're like, but where's the quality in that?
Exactly.
What are you actually gaining? If you're just beat down and tired at the end of the week, and you're just sleeping through days whenever you get time, maybe that's not the most effective or efficient way of working.
Oh, definitely.
So sometimes you can reduce that amount and then say, you know what, maybe I'm working less in terms of hours, but I'm putting in more impact.
And your output is more. You decided to work more efficiently through the process. So
exactly.
I'm just trying to do that and then balance with family, and then also I think I also reached a stage now where I'm trying to invest that time that I'm working less. I'm not 100% there yet, but working on it, is trying to take some time out to be present, but also work on myself a bit more. So of course I'm still training and things like that, but I need to do more. I need to read more, I need to learn more, study more, so that then I can come back and infuse that into the work. But if you don't do that, then you won't be able to actually put that stuff across.
Absolutely.
Because you haven't given your chance to learn and absorb knowledge.
Yes. No, I agree. It's like you have to give yourself the patience as well. You know, I think when you are the creator behind your business or your brand, there's a certain type of like internal patience that you have to, you know, kind of give yourself sometimes, because you've got a lot of things, as you talked about. The distractions in society is one thing, your expectations and what you're expected to produce, and then also your perceived value. So people around you, people you've grown up with, people you've gone to school with, they kind of look at you and expect a certain output, if that makes sense. Yeah. So it's like you're kind of looking to impress yourself, but at the same time you need to impress people around you, your peers, all sorts of things. There's a lot of pressure tied to that. So I definitely think from my personal experience, tracing back to my karate days, there are things from karate that I still take today that are very, very important. Meditation, flexibility, communication, and then just I would say the fighting element is the last part. It's strange to say, but a lot of people would say, you know, I remember this or this move, or I remember this punch or kick. For me, that's irrelevant. For me, it's more important that when I go into projects, I'm able to sit, meditate on thoughts, and then there's a big thing on manifestation today. Like, manifest your goals, manifest where you want to go. For me, I don't really agree in manifestation. I agree in meditate on thought and then go and do actions. Go and provide, and go and actually go and do the things that you say you're going to do.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because you have to back up those thoughts with some action afterwards. So yeah, you're right with the manifestation stuff as well. It's like, how can you acknowledge that, but you can't just manifest without action. And like you said, when you learn karate, is what did you learn? You learn patience, meditation, action as well. Because even though it's like Bruce Lee says, you know, I don't hit it, it hits. Yeah, it's the mind and the spirit working in harmony with the body to then produce the action. Yeah, but you can't just have the mind and the spirit and then produce no action.
Absolutely,
you have to have something. Yeah,
you have to have that connection, and that's why I'm glad that you are centered around the mind in your training methods and FitRoots, because you can see that's definitely going to help with a lot of the students. And I can already see from where you started to where you're at today that that's a major important part in your brand. So
definitely.
Let's quickly wrap this up by talking about, or getting you opportunities to plug where you are, where people can find you online, projects that you're involved in, or any upcoming things that are coming.
Thanks, man. I just want to say thanks to you as well, man, for hosting this and putting this together, man.
Honestly,
it's cool. It's good to have conversations. I haven't done a podcast for a while, so it's nice to chat and talk, and you know, hopefully share some ideas with people.
Oh, they're gonna love it, I'm sure. Definitely. Because I mean, it was meant to be, guys. As I said, he was meant to be on season 1. So like, I'm just frustrated it took so long for us to get here, but it's all good. Timing is everything.
That's how it works, isn't it? So, so a pleasure to be here, and hopefully have you guys listen to a message between us. So as you know, my martial arts school and company is called FitRoots, so you can reach out to us at FitRoots. I need to message you on there as well, actually, but I'm also building my personal Instagram, which is Aidan Lee, so that's AIDAN.
I'll put that in the description as well, so you guys go follow both accounts.
Thank you. Thanks, man. So I'm actually focusing on that now, so I'll talk more with you about that later. But,
awesome.
We'd love to hear from you guys. If you learn anything from this, please reach out, and I'll be happy to help you out however I can as well.
Amazing. Quickly, what are the age ranges of kids that you work with predominantly? Are you limited to certain groups, or do you prefer working with others?
No, good question. We start from 3, so we do 3 to 5 year olds, 6 to 11, 12 to 15, and then adults. So we start from there. We used to do 2, but we found that 3 is the sweet spot to begin from.
Just balances out the ages a little bit better.
Skill set.
That must be nice.
It's worked out. Again, we made some mistakes. We learned from it. Experimentation, and here we are.
Absolutely. Well, it's been brief, but stay tuned, because now that we're actually online, you're going to be seeing probably a lot more of Aidan. We're going to sit and probably got some behind the scenes projects that are going to be going on. I will be sharing all the information where to find him, because they're doing some really amazing things in the Slough area and further, and it's just great to see, bro. Honestly, man, like it's difficult when you're out here and you've built something that you're very passionate about. When you can find people that resonate with that message and are willing to, project and share and sit down and even just share space like we are now. Like, the thing I love about podcasting isn't necessarily about the highlighting or putting it out to a digital world. It's more about getting to sit down with people I know, and I get to see their growth, they get to see a bit of mine, and then, you know, somewhere within that we can hopefully inspire the next generation of young people coming up to see a way they can do it.
Exactly.
Instead of talking at you, kind of giving you a little bit more of advice and things to say, okay, I've got this, maybe I could say I'm patient, or maybe I need to be more patient, things like that, you know.
I think so, man, and that's where podcasting is more powerful, because you get to effectively sit in on a conversation that maybe you wouldn't join that table originally with those people, but you get to choose to now sit at a table that you wouldn't normally sit at.
Absolutely.
Because one, you've decided to, and two, because now you're ready to learn. So it works both ways.
Absolutely.
So I learn here talking and listening to you, and also hopefully other people learn too.
I'm sure, absolutely. Well, I know that you're on a tight schedule. We're all very busy people out here, creative, but I will make sure all of the description, where to find FitRoots is in the description. Big shout out to the work that you guys have been doing, man. Like, throughout all of the difficult times we've been dealing with, it's always hard to, like, sometimes find that motivation and that push. So, you know, I always like to big up and support people I know and continue seeing them grow to new levels.
Thank you, man. No, I appreciate it. And
awesome.
You guys who are here as well, make sure you support Theo and his projects and what he's doing. Spread the word, share the word, and anyone you know who could benefit from what Theo is doing, don't hold back to spread that message with them, and also reach out to him to let him know, one, what he has helped you with, and what also you would like to see more from Theo. So I'm sure that would help him create.
Absolutely, that would be amazing.
Great things.
That would definitely be amazing. When you guys, thank you for tapping in, and if you had a chance to enjoy this conversation, go check out FitRoots, go and see what he's up to. If you have any young ones that are, you know, got loads of energy running around the house, get them down to a FitRoots class and see if they can develop some patience. It's going to pay off. And everything that, you know, I like to base myself around is about long-term success through putting in the work now. So and I know you echo that message as well.
Thank you, man.
So
thanks a lot, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
it's been brief, as we said, but sometimes brief is good. I hope that you guys have been able to learn something from this. Welcome back to season 2. We are here, and I've got a whole bunch of people lined up over the next few weeks for you guys. So stay tuned for that. And brother, anything else you want to add or throw?
No, not really. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here, and thank you for the platform and everything, putting it all together. So
anytime.
Just wish you all the success with it. Glad to see you got people lined up. You're taking it to that next level now. So take it seriously, take it up and beyond, and help him out, help Theo out to do that as well.
Thank you very much, guys. The wonderful Aidan Lee from FitRoots, and I will see you guys on the next episode.
See you soon.
Peace and love.